Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. Happy Monday. Monday evening here on the East Coast of the United States. So it's coming on a little late. It's about 9:45 Eastern time. So on the Pacific Coast, it's only like 6:45. So it's getting to be about prime time for you guys. But in the UK, that makes it around 2:45 going on 3 a.m. So if anyone is up in the UK or anywhere nearby, actually, Allie's up, but she has clients tonight. And there's probably a good chance that Vera's up. So, we have a couple people. My wife, Allie, she works on East Coast time. It's as if her body already knew that her and I would be together, and the best times, optimal times for us to communicate with each other is her being on East Coast time. I can't explain it, but yeah, that's the way it is. So how is everyone doing tonight? Hi, Debbie Hempele, first one checking in. How are you doing? So yeah, I got a few things I'll be covering tonight. Man, I hope everyone is staying cool. Although I did notice the heat wave in the Northeast broke, and they actually have beautiful weather up there, upper 70s, lower humidity. But today I did notice that they had, at least in upstate New York, they had a severe weather warning. So I hope everyone's staying safe. A front is pushing through, and it's going to be dropping the temperature significantly. I often look at what the weather's like there because that's where I'm from, and I still have friends and family there. My daughter's up there. So last night about, I don't know, 1:30, 2:30 a.m., my phone rings. And it only rang once. And I'm a light sleeper, and I woke up. So I look at it, and it was my daughter. But I'm guessing she probably butt dialed me or something, because she hung up. By the time I answered it, there was nothing there. It only rang once. So I just texted her, "I love you." So we've all done that. We've all butt dialed somebody. So if you're going to butt dial somebody, make it family, because they'll understand and they won't be upset at you. Right? Hi to Sarah Sutra, joining us on Facebook. Debbie says she's doing well. Stormy weather here in Pennsylvania. Tornado watch. Yeah. That's what I understand. That front's going through, and there's some pretty nasty weather associated with it. When you had all that heat and humidity and a cold front, nasty things are going to happen, right? So stay safe. Hope you're doing fine. Yeah. So yeah, this is a lot later than what I normally come on, except on Tuesdays. Actually, Allie and we do our global predictions at 10 p.m. So people are kind of accustomed to us coming on later. Of course, we do our show beforehand, Gregg and Allie live at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, we have our show on Thursdays, where we do half an hour here on Facebook and YouTube. And then we do the rest of the show on Rumble, live and uncensored. So it's kind of nice to go there and not have to tippy-toe around certain things like I'll probably have to do tonight with some of the things I'll be talking about. Got to do that tippy-toe. So, yeah. Hi, Corolla Worth. Hello, how are you? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? Drop into the 70s. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful up there. No tornadoes here in Maryland, although they predicted some. Yeah, stay safe. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I live here in Florida. We had a hurricane come through. What was it, last year, year before? Last year. And I've been through several hurricanes since I've been in Florida. But what scares me the most, much more than a hurricane, you got it, tornadoes. They can come out of nowhere. Hurricanes kind of move slow. You see them coming. You got time to react. Maybe, take care of the things that you have to take care in your house and then move elsewhere away from it. But tornadoes, they can pop up overnight in the middle of the night and you don't have any time to really prepare. So, and they are so destructive, especially, I live in a mobile home, a trailer park. And if you've never seen one, you've seen the destruction of what tornadoes do to trailer parks and mobile homes. Why? Because all the mobile homes are up on cinder blocks. The wind gets underneath it and just lifts them up, and you're off to Kansas with Toto. So hello from Queensland. So good morning to Corolla. Good morning to you. That's that's one of the reasons why when I come on, I go good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because you never know where we have people coming in from. So it is good morning to you. There's Rob. How are you? Ain't this something? Just happened to log on, and here you are. And here you are. What a coincidence. Thanks for joining us, Rob. Hi to Love Sunny Always. Hi, how are you? Joining us on Facebook. Some new names here. Checking in and saying hi. I love seeing the new names. Love seeing the old names. Patricia's tiptoeing through the tulips. But, you got to be a certain age to understand that. That's a Tiny Tim song. He used to play a ukulele. And he would sing that. And it was just kind of bizarre. But for the time that he did that and it came out, the 60s or whatever, people were partaking on various substances and it was cool to them, right? There's my baby. Hi, my love. I love you. Must be in between people, clients. Sarah says, you just never know when a tornado is going to pop up. Originally from Ohio, so I know what they're like. Yeah. When I used to live on the beach, a tornado came by before I moved onto the beach. It was shortly before I moved onto the beach, and this is years back. But it cut through in between the Crystal Sands condos and whatever's next to them. But its radius was large enough where there was this palm tree outside of my home where I lived. And it tore apart an outdoor chair. And one of the legs of the chair pierced right through a palm tree, right through it. You can see it on one end, on the outside, and going right through on the other side. It's amazing. How fast must the wind be blowing for it to tear that chair apart and then use part of the leg as a projectile to go right through the tree? It's crazy. You don't want to be near a tornado. Hurricane, no big deal as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure, I try to give them a lot of respect. But I've been through several hurricanes here, beginning with Charlie back in 2004, and all the other ones ever since. But tornadoes, wow, yeah, they're tough, man. I don't want to. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near one. Aw, stay safe, Patricia. We're getting pounded here, coastal North Myrtle Beach. So that's South Carolina. Love says, I live in tornado territory, Alberta, Canada. Scary stuff. Yeah, indeed. Hi, Jay. How are you? Thank you for joining. Lots of new names. Digging it. Debbie says, hi, Allie. Hi to Kind Spirit, another one of our regulars. My internet is out due to a lightning strike yesterday, so watching videos is virtually impossible on Boost Mobile. It's too choppy. I will watch on replay. Much love. Well, I'm so sorry. Hopefully you get your power back soon, or your cable back. Yeah. Rob says, I first saw Tiny Tim on the Johnny Carson show. I laughed and laughed. Probably like, what the hell? My baby. I saw one time one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, one of the most amazing performances that I've ever seen on the Johnny Carson show. There was this guy, a guitarist. He had no arms. They lay the guitar down on the floor and he's playing it with his feet. What did he play? Stairway to Heaven with his feet. Better than most people can play with their hands. It's just amazing. If you put your mind to something, the things you can do. I wish, and I've looked online, I wish I could find that clip to share with you because it's so unbelievable. You don't have to be a musician to appreciate watching somebody play their Stairway to Heaven with their feet better than most people can play with their hands. Crazy, huh? You know, it's funny. I see the comments back to back. There's Allie and there's Vera. Good morning, everyone. You guys came in a little later, but I had spoken about you guys earlier when I first came on. The good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because it's early morning over there in the UK and the Netherlands. So I was mentioning you guys how you never know, who's coming on and what time. And so that's why, I always say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because who knows what time zone people are in. And yeah, we have family all around the world. So hi to Magical Maiden. Thank you for joining us here on YouTube. Okay. Now, I was talking to Allie, and she came up with a good idea because I had a situation where I was trying to make a black and pink shirt, but the black that I was using was a different black than I was normally using for my tie-dye. And it came out like gray with a black outline around it. And I thought, whoa, this is really cool. So I'm still able to use that particular black, although it's kind of grayish black. But the way it comes out like that with the outline around that is so freaking cool. Haven't came up with a name for this one, but I was talking to Allie, and what I have this one shirt. It's called Quantum Earth, which would be this one. This one's called the Quantum Earth, right? And I had to remake this one because when I first made it, the last thing you do is put the black on one side, and that's where you get these black lines going throughout it. So I put the black on, but it was from that batch that was mostly gray. And you never know what's going to happen sometimes, because out of mistakes are born something new. And what got born something new was a camo shirt. So we got like a camouflage looking tie-dye shirt. So that one's going to be, I'll be putting that one out in probably the next three weeks or so. So, and that was Allie's suggestion. She's like, wow, that's really cool. It looks like camouflage. I'm like, yeah. And so thank you, my love, for the suggestion. And that's what we have. So good morning, Joyce from Scotland, of course. Yes. Cold and wet in southwest Scotland. Wind finally calmed. You guys have, I feel, I know it's, if you could take some of our heat and we could take some of your cool, in Scotland and Florida, trade off a little, I think everybody would be happy, right? I've been a fan of In5D since 2011. You've been such a gift in my awakening process. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. Love, Sunny, always. Thank you for being part of our In5D family. I believe in you too, my love. I do. Hi to Cynthia. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's kind of like an odd time for me to come on. I just decided, why not? I figured Allie was going to be working all night, but here she is. I got a few things I do want to cover, though. What else? Oh, I've recommended numerous times throughout the year since it came out. I've recommended on In5D and various chats and everything. There's a video, and it's a conspiracy about what happened to Paul McCartney. A lot of people believe, myself included, that he died in a car accident in 1967. Because when you look at the old Paul and the new Fall, a lot of people call him Fall, F-A-U-L, fake Paul, there's so many discrepancies. Eyes, the nose, the teeth, the ears, everything is completely different. The old Paul wasn't trained classically. He could not write compositions. The new Paul, Fall, can, and he's very talented. Very, very much more talented than the old Paul. Anyway, there's a guy on YouTube, and he goes by I Am a Phony. And I'll put a link in the chat for his YouTube page because, well, hang on. Copy link. Okay. He put out a video in 2011, 2010, something like that. And of course, In5D has been around since 2009 and had a couple other websites before that. And I've been promoting this guy ever since. The guy's amazing. The video's incredible. But it's called The Winged Beetle, and it talks about the whole conspiracy behind Paul McCartney. I was watching, there's another guy, Mike Williams, I believe his name is. He has a website and a YouTube channel. Oh, what is his channel called? Hang on. I was just watching it earlier today too, because he put out some new videos recently, and let me see if I can find that one. Oh, Sage of Quay. Yeah. Mike Williams' Paul is Dead channel. And he was talking today about how the fake Paul has a lazy eye, that he only has one eye. Well, one's a glass eye. And he went into a compelling argument about that. One of the things he was talking about in this video, and hang on, I'll put a link to that up in the chat. You know, if you're into this kind of stuff, you know, subscribe to his channel as well. It's very fascinating. I got more to cover. I'm not just going to be talking about the fake Paul. And actually, we're going somewhere different from this point forward anyway. But if you're interested in learning more about the conspiracy behind what happened with the Beatles and how they brought in these numerous different people, characters, as Mike Williams calls them, different Paul McCartney characters. Yeah, check out I Am a Phony's channel. Subscribe to that, and check out the Winged Beetle on I Am a Phony's channel, and Sage of Quay, Mike Williams's channel as well. So you got the links there in the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. And I'm going somewhere with this. Bear with me on this, because it's not about the conspiracy behind Paul McCartney. What I was doing, though, I was watching the Sage of Quay, and I was watching that, you know, he was talking about how Paul McCartney has a glass eye and a lazy eye. And there's a guy called Vivian Stanshall, who a lot of people suspect was one of the Paul McCartneys that replaced Paul after he died. And he also has that same glass eye. So people are trying to put one and one together. Now, Sage of Quay, Mike Williams, was talking about Horus and Set. Set is the god of chaos. And he would fight Horus every day. So sunrise, sunset. Sunset would be when Set defeats Horus, and then in the morning, when the sun rises, Horus defeats Set. It'd probably be a lot easier. Let me put this on, and I'm going to play like a short excerpt from Zeitgeist, and this will give you a better idea of, you know, the whole Set and Horus confrontation. Okay.
This is Horus. He is the sun god of Egypt of around 3000 BC. He is the sun anthropomorphized, and his life is a series of allegorical myths involving the sun's movement in the sky. From the ancient hieroglyphics in Egypt, we know much about this solar messiah. For instance, Horus, being the sun or the light, had an enemy known as Set, and Set was the personification of the darkness or night.
So yeah, Set is known as the god of chaos. And if you look at like Freemasonry, it's based on Ordo ab Chao, order out of chaos. We're going to remember that name though, Set, because we're going to get into it. And this is where I'm heading. Check it out.
And metaphorically speaking, every morning Horus would win the battle against Set, while in the evening Set would conquer Horus and send him into the underworld. It is important to note that dark versus light, or good versus evil, is one of the most ubiquitous mythological dualities ever known, and is still expressed on many levels to this day. Broadly speaking, the story of Horus is as follows.
This is the part that made the most sense to me about religion ever. Check it out.
Horus was born on December 25th of the Virgin Isis Mary. His birth was accompanied by a star in the east.
Does this sound familiar?
And upon his birth, he was adored by 3 kings. At the age of 12, he was a prodigal child teacher.
So this is the same story that's been regurgitated at least 8 or 9 other times after him, preceding Jesus.
At the age of 30, he was baptized by a figure known as Anup, and thus began his ministry. Horus had 12 disciples he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick and walking on water. Horus was known by many gestural names such as the Truth, the Light, God's Anointed Son, the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, and many others. After being betrayed by Typhon, Horus was crucified, buried for 3 days, and thus resurrected.
Sound familiar?
These attributes of Horus, whether original or not, seem to permeate many cultures of the world, for many other gods are found to have the same general mythological structure.
Yep.
Attis of Phrygia, born of the Virgin Nana on December 25th, crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna of India, born of the Virgin Devaki, with a star in the east signaling his coming. He performed miracles with his disciples, and upon his death was resurrected.
And we're seeing the same story over and over and over again.
Dionysius of Greece, born of a virgin on December 25th, was a traveling teacher who performed miracles such as turning water into wine. He was referred to as the King of Kings, God's only begotten Son, the Alpha and Omega, and many others. And upon his death, he was resurrected.
Of course.
Mithra.
Now, this one was the most recent incarnation of all the Jesus deities. So a lot of what was transferred from Mithra is now in Christianity.
Persia, born of a virgin on December 25th. He had 12 disciples and performed miracles, and upon his death was buried for 3 days and thus resurrected. He was also referred to as the Truth, the Light, and many others. Interestingly, the sacred day of worship of Mithra was Sunday.
Okay, so let's get back to where we're going with this, though. So that's actually fascinating. So, Rob, you're saying I need that link. Which link? Do you want a link to the Zeitgeist? That's all it is. Just look up Zeitgeist. It's right in the beginning of Zeitgeist. It's the first part is on religion. Love, Sunny, always. I've always found this fascinating. History repeated over and over again. And isn't that true? Because, you know, it's like astrology. And from what I understand, I've interviewed Jordan Maxwell 3 times when he was still alive. He interviewed this guy who was going for his PhD in theology and was given full access to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And by the time he got done dissecting the Dead Sea Scrolls, he became so disenchanted because he learned that religion is nothing but astrotheology. He ended up disavowing Christianity and became an alcoholic because he was so despondent after what he learned. So if you look at religion, if you look at the Bible, it's really quite genius on how it was written. It was written in perfect theological order. So you have the golden calf, which is the age of Taurus. You have the blowing on the ram's horn, which is the age of Aries, when Jesus fed the masses with 2 fish, right? That's the age of Pisces. And then when Jesus said, follow the man bearing the pitcher of water to that house, that's where we're at right now, the age of Aquarius. So was the man that Jordan Maxwell interviewed that had the access to the Dead Sea Scrolls, was he wrong by saying it's all astrotheology? I mean, look at the names in the Bible. John, Jacob, Joseph, Jesus, all the names that begin with the letter J. The letter J wasn't invented until the 1500s. And do you think how many Johns and Jacobs do you think were in the Middle East? That's not a very Middle Eastern name. You would think it'd be something like Muhammad, not John. So there's a lot more that goes into this, but this is not where I'm going. I'm giving you the background to show you what's going on right now. And where we're going with this is it's called the Great Reset. We've all heard about that. This is what Klaus Schwab wrote a book about, the Great Reset. What the hell's the Great Reset? All right, well, I'm going to play a clip from this woman, Chris Iverson.
AG1 is so much more than a green
screen. And she'll give us a little idea of, what the hell's going on with the Great Reset. Let me cue that up. I had it queued and I lost its cue. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is Kim Iverson talking about the Great Reset. Here we go.
So what is the Great Reset? The name even sounds conspiratorial, but believe it or not, it's a real thing. The Great Reset started off as the name of a meeting held by the World Economic Forum in the summer of 2020. The World Economic Forum began in the 70s. It's basically a club made up of world leaders, corporations, and other wealthy elites,
who are all deciding what is in our best interest. We have no say about it.
Every year, they get together in Davos, Switzerland, and pontificate about how to best manage the world and solve problems. This year, the meeting starts today.
I love that word, pontificate.
However, due to the pandemic, like last year, the winter in-person Davos meeting has been postponed to summer, and instead they'll be hosting the meetings this week online. And the conference kicks off today with a special opening speech by China's Xi Jinping. But basically, think of it as a bunch of hoity-toities getting together in a bougie ski resort town to make connections, rub elbows, collaborate. Sometimes world leaders make some peace and prevent war, which is a good thing. Sometimes people will fundraise money for causes, which is also a good thing. But mostly it's a way for elites and world leaders to get together and scheme up new ways to march us towards a more globalized world.
Screw that. So these people, and I'm being kind with my choice of words, but these people take their private jet planes, fly all over the world to meet in Davos, and then tell us that we have to cut back on our consumption of everything, meat and cows and all this stuff, because we're using up or we're creating too much CO2. But they can take their private jets and meet all over the world, and they're such hypocrites. And then they're deciding our best interests. Now, it's my understanding that it was approved recently by I'm not sure if it's the United Nations or WEF, one of those stinking globalist organizations. It was approved to start blocking the sun. Blocking the sun. Astrology teaches us about the cycles of time. History repeats itself. As we saw earlier when I played that Zeitgeist clip, history repeats itself with all these different deities that were born on December 25th to a Virgin Mother, 12 disciples, resurrected after 3 days, so on and so forth. Same story, regurgitated over and over and over. Well, the same is true with weather. It goes in cycles. And if you look at ice core samples, right? Drill into the ice, go down as far as, you're going to find that there were peaks and valleys of mini ice ages, gets warmer. Mini ice age gets warmer. This is normal. But yet they think they're going to be blocking the sun or putting little particles in front of it that deflect the sun's rays away from us. I'm going to tie this all together. There was a reason why I played you and told you the story of Horus and Set. And then I played the video, The Great Reset. Reset. If you're looking at cycles of time, back and forth, right? Drunvalo Melchizedek says that in this great cycle of 25,000 years, half of it we're going through with the divine masculine. The other half is in the energy of the divine feminine. And it goes back and forth, just like Set and Horus. Well, we're at that end of the cycle where Set is about to die, but they're saying, no, reset. Because Horus is coming in, he's bringing the light. They don't want the light. They don't live in the light. If you look at my article, I have an article on In5D, and it's called Pyramid of Death. Who really runs this world? I'll see if hang on. I'm going to pull up the image for that. Because it explains a lot, and it shows you, where are we at? This is where we're at, my friends. Okay, so here, let's throw this up on the screen. Okay, so, and this is from an article I wrote on, and you can find it on In5D. So below the pyramid on the bottom here, you'll find corporations such as Monsanto, world leaders and politicians. People that normies would think would be toward the top of the pyramid. They don't even make the pyramid. At the bottom, you'll find us, the 99% of the population. So who really runs this world? And this is what the reset is all about. So at the bottom of the pyramid, you got secret societies. Why are they at the bottom? Well, we know about them. As secret as they say they are, we already know that. For example, the Freemasons, they have their lodges, and if you walk into one of their lodges, you'll see a Christian Bible there on their checkerboard floor. But as you make your way up through the Masons, you find it switches over from the Christian Bible to the Luciferian doctrine. And you can find copies of the Luciferian doctrine online. I have a copy of it on PDF. And actually, there's a lot of fascinating stuff in there. They talk about eating healthy, how to open your third eye. It sounds horrible, the Luciferian doctrine, because you think, well, we've heard a lot of bad things about Freemasons, but the Luciferian doctrine isn't all that bad, honestly. And I'm not a Freemason, although I know most of their prayer because of the fraternity I was in. We a lot of our prayer was from Freemasonry. So that's the bottom of the pyramid, secret societies. Like I said, why? Because we know about them. What's at the top of the pyramid We don't know. Let's move up, though. You have the Committee of 300, the Council of 13, United Nations, the Federal Reserve and other central banks, United Nations Banking Complex, the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, the Business Advisory Council, the Bilderbergs, and we know about them too, right? And the Vatican, Roman Catholic Church. This is where things change. Because a lot of people think that, okay, well, the Pope is the most powerful person in the world. No, he's not. Because there's still the Black Pope that's above him that we never see or hear of. But there's somebody that's pulling his strings, who's a terrestrial person. But who's pulling the Black Pope's strings? Well, we have lower level malevolent extraterrestrials like Dracos and reptilians. And if you look at what's that one place in the Vatican City where it looks like a reptilian, it looks like when you're inside of this auditorium, it looks like you're inside the head of a snake. Moving up, we have higher level malevolent extraterrestrials like the Anunnaki. So they're above the Dracos and the reptilians. But who's pulling their strings? Well, you got archons and other invisible matter. And above that, somebody had to create the archons, right? Above that, the highest level malevolent extraterrestrials who literally exist and feed off of fear, death, pain, suffering, misery, and sacrifices. They are the controllers of the archons. So yeah, you can find that on In5D. It's called Pyramid of Death. Who really runs the world? They know. All of the world leaders are in tune with astrology. And they hire their own master astrologists. They all know what's coming. We win. Remember that one, I have an article on In5D that talks about how this guy gives, he's a insider that was blowing the whistle on basically what Project Looking Glass saw and what's happening and where we're at with Project Looking Glass. And he said that right now we're at the end game. There's only so many moves left. Both sides know exactly what the other person has to do and what the outcome will be. We've already won. The light wins. We've already won, but that's why they're trying to push this great reset. Reset. Set, the god of chaos. That's why they're trying to block the sun. They don't want the light coming down. There's nothing they can do. Speaking of cycles, I mentioned that astrology teaches us about cycles. Those who don't learn from the cycles of time and the cycles of history are doomed to repeat it. Here's a great example. I've talked about this ad nauseum on In5D because it's so true. And it's Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. Remember when that happened was the banking collapse of 2008. And all the too big to fail / jail banks got bailed out. But that wasn't a coincidence that it happened then. Pluto stays in Capricorn until the end of the year, until the beginning of next year. I think it's January 20th. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn was during both the French and American revolutions. And this is what I was talking about with the cycles of time, how they repeat themselves. what's been going on worldwide, revolutions everywhere. This is not a coincidence. This is history repeating itself. So what happens when Pluto exits Capricorn? Well, we're already seeing what happens. We've already well surpassed that apex, and we're heading into the home stretch. And what's happening is the truth vibration is rising, and it's getting stronger and more powerful. No matter what they try, it's going to boomerang back on them. My friends, the best is yet to come. There's a lot of good things. There's a reason why we're all here right now. And it's not to witness the great reset. And it has nothing to do. They put that crap out there because they want to get into our psyche. They want to affect what we think. Don't let that happen. We are so powerful. They know it. And they're panicking because there's nothing they can do. And at this point, they're saying, screw it. Let's throw everything at them. Doesn't matter what they throw. You know, you can look at me as a analogy of what the hell's going on, all the shit I've been through. You know, heart attack, diverticulitis, colostomy, reverse colostomy, incisional hernia, incidental appendectomy, quadruple bypass, emergency gallstone, gallbladder removal. Still here, baby. Still here. Doesn't matter what they throw at us. We're bouncing back. And we're here for a greater, much greater reason. And we're going to bring that light in. And everybody, everyone that's watching, and if you know, please share this with your friends and family on social networks everywhere. Like and subscribe if you haven't. But we're bringing that light in, and it doesn't matter what they do. The cabal doesn't matter what they do. We know they're panicking, and it doesn't matter what they do. The light always wins. You can't stop the light. They can try. They can do whatever they can to try to keep us down. It ain't going to work. We are the light, and we win in the end. So I'm going to leave it off there. I want to thank everybody for joining me here. I know it was kind of a long way around. You know, I had to get through a few things, but it's important to understand what they mean by the Great Reset. And now you understand the process. So I'll leave it off at that. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're watching this on the recorded version, please leave your comments below. As I mentioned, please like, share, and subscribe. And Allie and I will be back tomorrow night. So at 8 p.m. Eastern, well, depends on when you're watching this. Allie and I will be on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our live show. And then at 10 p.m. we do global predictions. Then on Thursday, every Thursday, we do our pregame show here on Facebook and YouTube for our live and uncensored show at 8 p.m. on Rumble, where we talk about anything and everything, except we're not going to swear anymore because there might be children watching and we don't want to cross that line. So anyway, until the next time, I'm Gregg from In5D.com and In5D.net. Make sure you check out In5D.net. Lots of cool t-shirts there. And I'm sending you all infinite love and light from my heart to yours. Namaste, and I love you all. Take care now.